Cool. You got the new album, Initiation, is only a few weeks away now. It's been 4 years since the last full length. Obviously, you've been far from quiet in those 4 years. What would you say has changed musically the most in between this gap?
Well, I think mostly it's just our skills as songwriters, producers, musicians, vocalists, drummers, bassists, all that stuff has just improved vastly. I mean, from the experience I've had over the last few years touring has really helped me develop more vocally. And same thing with Matt, our producer slash guitarist. He's just learned so much in the last few years as far as bringing his engineering and mixing just like up more professional and more professional. We always pride ourselves in being super DIY, doing so much ourselves. So we're kind of spread thin a lot of the time, but when you have a few years where you're really just able to focus in on nothing but the band, I think it really helps us just get better and better,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the new songs are sounding great. I think Bystander's probably the catchiest song I've heard all year. That's nice. One of those. Honestly, I'll be out walking the dog or doing the dishes or something, and I'll just find myself singing that. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as good from me, but. Well, Sumo Cyco as well has always been very much a visual band. It's always very vibrant, and I think that's a lot of the appeal as well. And already there's been 5 videos for songs on this album, 2 of which, of course, were released a couple of years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But more recently, like I said, you've done Bystander as well as Vertigo and No Surrender. I think with Opus Ma, you did a video for every song. Is that right?
Not quite. I think it was more like same thing, about 5 or 6 videos. Our goal has always been to try to do as many as we can before the next record cycle starts.
Are you hoping to still do more videos in the meantime?
Yeah, we're actually going to be filming one Sunday. And then after that, we've got a few more to go. So yeah, it's kind of, in a way, it keeps us so busy. It feels like I have no time to breathe these days. I was literally up till 5 a.m. last night editing for one of our things. So it's an insane amount of work, especially because we do so much of it ourselves. But it's really kept us properly distracted from all the craziness going on in the world. And I think at the beginning of the pandemic, I was super bummed about everything, and I just didn't have any like real focus. But now that I'm just like putting myself so much into work, it's really helped me cope better, I think.
Cool. I think like you say, at a time like this when the world is in turmoil, having a band like Sumo Cyco really helps, because obviously there is that heaviness and some aggression in there, but Sumo Cyco is such a fun band. Like, I always compare you to Skindred. In the Skindred are so much fun live. It's like the room bounces, and it's the same when I've seen you before. I saw you in 2016, I think it was, supporting Butcher Babies, and you blew the roof off the Underworld. So I was like a fan like that. So having that new music from someone that is so positive, it definitely helps listeners, because obviously, most of the bands I'm dealing with are like death metal and that, which is fine, but it's kind of like, well, yeah, I know the world's a bit crap at the moment. So,
yeah.
So a band like Sumo Cyco is really uplifting, I think.
Totally. I feel like one of the trademarks in our lyrics, at least, is I always, no matter what topic I'm talking about, no matter if it's the heaviest topic in the world, I always try to put a little bit of hope in there. And our band is a party band. We want people to have a ton of fun while listening to us and be able to kind of escape in some ways their crazy world. So it's good, I think, in a way, to keep putting art out, even in the bleakest of moments, even in the crappiest situations, having ways to kind of process what's going on and to realize that there's still, little tiny moments of joy in between all the crap that's happening, and to try to, look at those little moments of feeling a little bit of hope is very important, I think, in these times.
Absolutely. You mentioned lyrics there. What sort of subjects are you tackling on this new album?
Well, it's the record spanned a bit of time, right? So there was songs written before the pandemic and after, and but a lot of them are a lot about just overcoming struggle, about getting through tough times, and about kind of being a badass in some ways. And then there's also songs that feel a little bit more coming from a dark place of feeling depressed or anxious or struggling through situations and trying to find yourself and not get lost in it all. And I think we all have those like moments where the devil on our shoulder or the self-saboteur is telling us, you know, you can't do something or you're not good enough, or, you know, keeping us from reaching some of our goals in our lives. And I always kind of look at that as the greatest struggle that anyone goes through, is the struggle in their own mind of what they can achieve or can't achieve because they're self-sabotaging themselves. So that's a lot of what I write about. And this record is actually one of the first times also that I've put in a few songs about love and relationships and that too, which I've never usually write about. But yeah, there's lots of topics spanning on this record.
Good. Variety is the spice of life, after all.
Yeah.
Well, something I already love about the album is the artwork. The artwork is fantastic. It's so like submersive, I guess is the best word for it. How much input did you have with the artwork and stuff?
Yeah, artwork is super important to us. We're very hands-on, especially myself when it comes to the artwork. And I work very closely with our graphic artist, Francesca Ludicar. She's actually worked with the band since we've started, really. And she does a lot of the photography and graphics. So everything in our artwork, I always have these little odes to our world of Cyco City, which is kind of like our alternate universe / like comic world.
Yeah.
And the theme for Initiation is all about these 4 factions or gangs that live within the world. So on our website, you can take a quiz and figure out which gang you belong to. And then on the cover of the record, it's basically like these buildings from Cyco City at the bottom I'm flying towards. And each of them, if someone looks close enough, can see the 4 faction signs on each of the buildings. So it's a little bit of a kind of a fun comic book world that I play with at the same time of using like real world inspiration in my real life to kind of guide the songs. But there's always this world that I go to when it comes to the visuals or the music videos. It all takes place in this like weird fantasy comic book world.
Awesome. And this is the first album released through Napalm Records. Obviously, I think you signed with them in January of last year. But
Yes.
obviously, with everything going on, it was never going to be an immediate release.
Yeah.
So far, how's the relationship with the label been?
It's been very good. I mean, I'm a very control freak. I'm like, need to do everything myself. And I always fear when you work with a new company or a new somebody that they're going to come in and they're kind of going to want to get their hands a little bit too into all the things that I'm like, no, this is the way I like it. So thank goodness that Napalm has just been a really good, like, supportive team. They've just like come under all the art that I've already kind of handed them, the music videos, all that stuff. They literally had no problems with anything that I would send them as far as the artwork goes. And then all the kind of administration and all the kind of PR and that stuff that's, you know, I need the help with, they come in and just support that, which is so great. And so far, it's been a great experience working with them.
Awesome. Well, I know we're a little bit pushed for time, so I'd just like to finish up by asking what other plans Sumo Cyco has for the near future.
Well, we're working really hard on trying to make live music happen again. So fingers crossed for the end of the year. But in the meantime, we're working on music videos like crazy. We have our pre-order campaign right now for our new record coming out May 7th. I've worked really hard on making some really cool bundles with things like our album book that we've developed with even more cool artwork. I just have it sitting here just to show off a little bit with like tons of beautiful pages of artwork and lyrics. I'm working right now on some exclusive USBs that will be 4 collectible versions, and they'll all have different videos and behind the scenes content on it. So it's keeping me pretty busy. So while we're waiting for those live shows to come back, there's lots to look forward to online and lots to see on our store as well at sumocyco.com.
And that's all available on the store, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Skye, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me today. I'm sorry it was so short. But,
Okay, thanks, Oliver. I appreciate the interest and really appreciate you spreading the word about the band. It means a lot to us.
My pleasure. You take care of yourself now, and
Thanks
have a
so
beautiful
much.
day.
Bye.
Bye.